Welcome. This is Jim. Welcome to Accounting A201, Financial Accounting. So we're going to start off with a story. Back in 1911, maybe some of your great-great-great-parents remember this, two men were trying to get ready to go to the South Pole. That's why our picture of the South Pole is up there. One of them was Roald Amundsen, okay? The other was Robert Scott, okay? So things were a little tougher then. You couldn't just book a flight, I guess. There was no Netflix or anything else. Anyway, so let's see. One of them made it, one of them didn't. So let's kind of take a quick look at that. Let's see. While in his late 20s, Amundsen, who was from, where was it? Someplace up in the Scandinavian countries, traveled to Norway. From Norway to Spain so he could get his sailing lesson. So he took a 2-month sailing course. And this is 1899. And how do you think he got there? Well, Southwest wasn't going there. So he actually didn't take a carriage, didn't take a course. He actually didn't take a train. He rode by bike. Wow. Then he experimented with eating raw dolphin meat to determine how useful it would be as an energy source. He figured he might find himself shipwrecked, I guess. All right. So he was training his body and his mind, and he was a very, very careful person. So he knew it was going to be awfully cold, right? So he actually made a pilgrimage to work with the Eskimos. So he wanted to know what they did. So he learned how Eskimos used dogs to pull sleds. He observed how they never hurried, moved slowly and steadily, avoided sweating, because sweat in the ice turns to, cold weather turns to ice. He adopted Eskimo clothing, loose-fitting, protective. He practiced their methods, trained himself with the Eskimos. He says, don't wait until you're in an unexpected storm to discover you need more strength and endurance. Okay? Don't wait till you're shipwrecked to figure out you can eat dolphin meat. Okay. Scott, on the other hand, was quite a contrast. So this is what he did to lead up to it. He trained like a maniac on cross-country skis, took a 1,000-mile bike ride. Nope, didn't do any of those. Did he go live with the Eskimos? Nope. Practice with dogs? Nope. No. Ponies. He decided he liked ponies. So he trained with ponies to get to the South Pole. Amundsen, we figured later on, figured he could always eat the dogs. Sounds bad. The ponies, Scott was hoping would be a little bit better choice. Ooh, can't read much of this. So anyway, once they started, and I think it was Scott that got there first. Let's see. They both figured there's going to be some bad weather. So Scott actually took just enough food and provisions to make him through. Turned out once he got going, the horses froze, so they were kind of useless. Bad days, Scott stayed in his tent. Good days, he tried to make up the mileage. Amundsen, on the other hand, did something called the 20-mile principle. So he figured no matter what, he was going to do 20 miles a day, good weather, bad weather, or whatever. Really great weather, he stopped after 20 miles. Everybody rested. He put flags within a 20-mile distance from his protected path, so he wouldn't get lost. Scott, on the other hand, put flags directly between where his ship docked and where he thought the North Pole would be, or South Pole would be. So the way this works out, even though Amundsen started later and had some pretty bad conditions back in 1911, he actually made it to the South Pole, made it back, and had food and provisions left over. And his dogs, most of the dogs made it. A couple of them did die. Scott, on the other hand, made it to the South Pole probably 2 months after Amundsen, and ended up freezing with all his men on the way back. So the lesson of this story is you want to be prepared. And one way to do this is with accounting. Okay, so companies, just like these two explorers, need to do the best jobs they can. Anyway, so we'll see you next week. But just secret extra credit stuff going on. We want you to write down 5 transactions, things you bought, sold, or whatever did over the coming weekend. Another one might be if you get a chance to talk to a manager at a store or someplace you're working, ask them if they use and how they use accounting information. Okay? So otherwise, that's about it for me. We'll see you all next week. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for dropping by.